today. We are honored that you would take your time today to spend with us. We pray that you get out of this session everything you had hoped for and more. Family, sometimes life doesn't go into a straight line. It twists, it turns, and it stretches us. And today you're about to hear from someone who knows how to help you navigate every one of those moments with clarity and confidence. Julia James is the coach you didn't know you needed, but will be so glad that you found. Known as your curly-haired friend, she helps women move through life's challenges with real-world tools, deep resilience, and unwavering faith. Blending coaching, innovation, and even AI, Julia empowers people to simply live their lives, recover from burnout, and step boldly into what's next. This is about clarity. This is about confidence. This is about your next chapter. Help me please welcome Julia James.
Thank you so much for that amazing intro. I'm ecstatic and elated to be here. I'm so grateful. Thank you for choosing to come into my room. You will not be disappointed. Thank you, guys. I'm so glad to be here again. Gratitude is my heart song. And we are living, guys, in a time where technology is moving faster than many of us care to admit. And even process. There are always something new as of late to learn, and something new to download, something new to try, something new to keep up with. And while all of this can be exciting, it can also be exhausting. And because even though the tools that are changing from day to day, our human, the very essence of who we are, really hasn't changed. We still need peace. Would you agree? We still need wisdom. We still need relationships. We all need purpose. We all need presence. We still need to know that we are not just surviving in the moment, but living with intention inside of it. And that is why today my message matters. Because AI is here. It's not going away. Technology is here. And the question is not whether or not we use it or if we should. The question really is, how do we use it without losing ourselves? How do we stay grounded when everything around us has sped up? And how do we let the tools help us without letting it become what shapes us? And so that's what I want to touch on today with you guys, or explore. And I wanted to begin with something very personal. So for many of us, life has taught us that presence matters more than performance. And I know that from my own life, especially as a caregiver to my husband. I remember sitting with someone I was caring with. He's taught me a lot of things, but this one person said something very powerful. And I remember responding in a moment, just trying to fix something. But that's not what they asked me. And now that my husband, I'm caring for him, I'm remembering that incident in that moment. I say to myself, how can I be more present? When you need something or when he needs something, I remember I need to just sit. I need to be listening in that moment right there and present, not doing anything else, not doom scrolling on my phone, nothing else. I need to be present. That's the story behind this message. Caregiving changes how you see the world. It slows us down. You could be anything to anyone or anywhere in the world. But for me, it's caregiving. It has taught me how to love. And love is not always loud. Love is sometimes quiet. Love is sometimes simply just sitting beside him or beside someone. Love is showing, not telling. It's noticing what others miss. Sometimes love is showing up when there is no applause moments, no polished moments, no public moments. Those are real moments. And in those moments, I want you guys to remember or encourage you to think of something very important. The things that people remember the most are not efficiency moments. They are presence moments. They are the moments that you stayed with them. They are the moments that you took the time to look them in the eye. They are the moments where while the world is being obsessed with speed, productivity, AI this, AI that, and consistent output. For me, in my story, caregiving has reminded me what matters the most is just simply being there. Listening is what matters. Slowing down is what matters. Human connection is what matters. And that experience is also where my resiliency coaching grew from. Learning how to keep going when life is heavy, how to stay grounded when everything feels chaotic, and how to find strength without losing my softness. Caregiving has taught me that resilience is not gritting my teeth and pushing harder. It's knowing when to pause, knowing when to ask for help, knowing how to build a community, or learning that it's okay to ask. It's knowing how to protect my peace while still showing up for others. That's the part of why I do the work I do. So I'm going to talk about 3 points, guys, today. And I want us to take a walk through how to not only be present, how not only to focus on peace and wisdom, but how we can incorporate the tools through AI to help us with what matters the most. AI can save time, and it should never steal your presence. So we want to talk about point 1, protecting what matters the most. That is the first thing I want you guys to hold on to today. You know, we've seen it all. A family at the dinner table, but everyone is on their phone. Physically together, but emotionally somewhere else. We can sit at the table, you know, and be somewhere else, but that's not what matters, really. We can answer the messages and still miss the moment. We can stay busy and stay still and disconnected. We can be efficient and still be empty. And that is why presence has become one of the most valuable things we can offer. Not performance, presence. Not rushing, presence. Not multitasking every single moment. And yes, we use the tools. We use AI to help us get organized, or to stay organized, to cut down unnecessary stress when we need a companion or an assistant to help us think through a few things, to help us free up time, to use it simply. Sometimes when things get heavy, you need another output or another way to be able to process your information. But we don't simply use it to escape the people in the moments that matters. We should let AI serve us, not replace your life. Imagine that the same table, but this time phones down, eyes up. You're listening. That's what presence looks like. Can you ask yourself a question for me today? Did technology help me connect more deeply today? Or did it distract me from connection? You know, that question can go a long way, and it can change the way you live. Because sometimes the most important action is not necessarily doing more. But sometimes the most important action is being fully there. Point 2, I'm going to encourage you guys today to protect your mind and your inner voice. You know, AI gives us all the things. It gives us a lot of information. It could spit out something in a matter of seconds. But there is a tiny thing that we sometimes neglect to remember. It's called wisdom. Wisdom still requires reflection. So you want to protect your mind and your inner voice while you're using AI, being present in that moment. And this is where people get overwhelmed. Think of your mind like a room. Right now, some of us have too many voices in that room, like a party. There's notifications, opinions, deadlines, there's scrolling, there's comparisons, and there's no time to really unwind. No wonder why you feel tired. We live in a world where there's too much noise, too many opinions, too many quick answers, too much scrolling, too much input. And sometimes the pressure is there to keep up. And in the middle of that noise, it gets harder for you to hear your own voice. So wisdom allows us to make sure that we keep the pressure down at bay, and we turn up for the word or the volume on discernment. So you don't need to surrender to the noise, guys. You just need to get the loudest voices to calm down so you can help your peace. So I want to talk to you a little bit about how you can incorporate AI, guys, without losing yourself in it. When you have the kind of reflection that allows you to assemble the wisdom that you have, to manage the piece, or to reassess where it is that you are, then you can pull in AI and it could support that process. But it should not, and hopefully cannot, replace it, because you, as a human, you use AI to brainstorm. We use AI to summarize. We use AI to organize our thoughts, to help calm the overwhelm. But we still have to sit and be at peace in our own mind. We still have to make presence. We still have to make time and room for prayer. We still have to make time and room for process and reflection, guys. And now I want you to imagine that same room, but quieter. The quiet room is the voice where the Holy Spirit lives, the one that is speaking softly, your own voice. That's where wisdom lives. You can still trust the wisdom that grows from experience, from faith, and from stillness. And I believe many people are exhausted, not because they're weak, but because there's too much noise. And the thing that we need to remember, that clarity, where clarity comes from, it becomes from rest and not chaos. It comes from the opportunity that when I still separate myself from the noise, I separate myself from the people, the things, the AI, I have clarity from within, and that's the wisdom that I'll receive. Clarity comes from when you pause long enough to hear what really matters. So I want to invite you right now, just for a moment, to take a breath and ask yourself, what has been taking too much of your attention? What has been crowding my peace? What have I been consuming that's been making it hard to hear myself in all the noise? What would stillness look like if I chose stillness on purpose? That pause matters, because that's where realignment begins. So, point 3, guys, I just want to show you a little bit more on how to use AI, incorporate it, but to stay aligned with your purpose. Technology should never support your purpose. It's not to become your purpose. The third thing I really want you to remember and to take away is to think of your purpose like a compass. Technology is like the vehicle you travel in, and the vehicle can be fast like technology, but if you're not looking at the compass, you can end up somewhere you never intended. We were never created to just be efficient. We were created to contribute, created to care, created to build, created to encourage, created to heal, created to lead, guys. And we were created to create. And no machine, no matter how sophisticated it seems, it feels, how fast it becomes, can replace the things that the human heart has to offer. No machine can replace compassion. No machine can replace your discernment. No machine can replace your faith or replace your lived experience. And that's why it matters the most. The danger is not using the wrong tools, but the danger can become a misalignment while using the tools the wrong way, the wrong time, and not the right ones. It's possible to be too busy and still not be building the life that you actually want, not building the life where presence exists. It's possible to be productive and still feel disconnected from your purpose, guys. It's possible to be informed and not be transformed. It's possible to be moving fast and not slow down in the right direction. To ask yourself, what really matters most to you? What are you building? What do you want to do? What do you want your life to reflect? How are you aligned with that? Because alignment is not accidental, it's intentional. It happens in small chaos. It happens when you pay attention, when you say yes, when you protect. It happens in what you release. And those small actions matter. One small boundary, one small pause, one small act of presence, one small act of decision to be intentional. Those choices, my friends, shape your lives more than you realize. So every time you ask yourself, is this thing, this tool that I'm using or this doom scrolling, is this aligned to what matters most? When you ask those questions, you're checking your compass. Who am I? Before I close, guys, I just want to briefly shape and share who I am and how I walk with people. My name is Julia James. My married name is McLeod. I'm a transformational life coach, a resilience coach, and I'm based in Houston, Texas. I've recently moved to Katy. So people often learn from me. The people that I help a lot are caregivers, leaders, coaches, creatives, people who feel pulled in too many directions, people who want to live with more clarity, more purpose, and more peace. I help them remember who they are. I have a framework called Represent Your Greatness on the Earth or Grow. My company is called Thrive and Grow Life. And so I talk to people a lot. I find myself sharing how not to pull in more noise, how to look at their lives to walk with purpose and clarity, how reflection can support them through intentional action. And I help people, organizations, and women leaders deal with building resiliency, not by pushing harder, because we often want to just say, let's just push through. But sometimes when you're building and you don't take time to breathe and pause and reflect and live intentionally, that building can come crumbling down if you didn't assemble the right parts in the right places. So I talked a lot about helping people have a life that's grounded when life is heavy. As I've shared, I'm the caregiver, making decisions moment by moment. I make it up as I go, and that's the fun part. But the one thing I do is I remember who I am and I align with my purpose, and I remember to keep my cool while I'm in the moment. I utilize AI every single day, but not to replace me, because it can never replace you. I help people align with their purpose so their daily choices reflect what truly matters to them. I use practical tools. I'm an NLP practitioner, neuroscience practitioner. I use simple frameworks to help people move from overwhelm to clarity, from distraction to presence, from the busyness to intentionality. And so if you're nodding your head and anything that I've said today, or you might be thinking, yes, this is where I am, that's exactly where I walk with people. I help you represent your greatness in the earth. I help you identify those things that you may not be seeing. I see blind spots, and I'm pretty good at it. And I can help you think through the noise, where you've been pushing harder, where you feel like things are heavy. You can learn to pause and realign and move forward with purpose. And that's the kind of support I offer. And so in closing, guys, I want you to close with this. The future does not belong only to the people who know technology. The future belongs to people who stay grounded in wisdom and relationships and faith. Posterity, not prosperity, but posterity. That kind of future is the future that we need, not the future where we become more connected to devices and less connected to each other, not the future where we have all this productivity but we're less peaceful, not the future where we are more informed but less wise, not the future where we are faster but less grounded, and definitely not the future where we use tools to serve truth only, where we are innovative, we serve with integrity, where we are fast or we use speed, we serve stewardship. And that's where we use technology. The technology can to support us and not take over. Guys, it begins with us. It's a choice. Everything that we do in life is a choice. It begins with our attention, our values, our posterity, our willingness to pause. And so I want to leave you with this one simple framework, guys. It's called pause, Pause. When you say this, take a small breath and slow your voice slightly. And this is your anchor. If you will, walk with me with the P. Protect my peace. If you can say protect my peace. A, align with purpose. If you can say I align with my purpose. U, use tools wisely. Say to yourself, I will use my tools wisely. I'm going to pause In the S, I stay connected to people, even in the small moments. In E, I evaluate what truly matters. If you can say it to yourself, I will evaluate what truly matters. Again, protect your peace, align with your purpose, use tools wisely, stay connected, evaluate what truly matters. This is just not a nice phrase, guys. This is a way of living, because one small action matters, conversation matters, one boundary matters, moments and presence matters. Aligning deeply, taking those steps matters. And when we stay aligned to what truly matters, we don't just build successful lives, we build purposeful ones. We build the lives that reflect who we are and what we want to convey and how we want to move in the earth. And as you leave today, I want you to imagine yourself representing your greatness in the earth. Imagine yourself a few weeks from now already using this. You're calmer. You're intentional. You're using technology without losing yourself. You're present with the people that you love and that matter most. Maybe at the table with the phones down, your eyes up. You're more aligned with purpose, checking your compass more often. I believe that's possible. What about you? It starts with one small action. So remember this. AI should only support what matters the most, not replace it. If this message spoke to you, I'd love to connect with you to keep the conversation going. I have a Saturday class at 9 a.m. You can find me at my website, juliajameslynnjames.com. I'm also an author of The Diary of a Curly-Haired Woman. I would love to connect with you about transforming and resiliency coaching. If you're ready to pause, realign, and move forward with purpose, I'd be honored to talk to you. I want to take this moment to see if anyone has any questions or open it up for anyone to have any conversations with me. Thank you.
Wow, it was really good. I was listening as I'm running around and doing stuff. And so we still got about 9 minutes left. And so if there's, Robert or Dr. George, if you guys have any questions for Julia, or you can tell them about your book or anything like that. So
Okay.
I don't know if they're hiding from you or not.
Are they hiding? Did this resonate with anyone? So in my book, The Diary of a Curly-Haired Woman, it's a metaphor of life's curly twists and turns, maybe even yours. And if you're curious about the way I flow my things, I'm a poet. And so a lot of things, when I have the opportunity to talk, I use metaphors, poetry. But my book came out of my life. It's a metaphor through what we went through. I was a child who experienced domestic violence through my family and my mom. My mom came from California. She lived in a world where segregation was big, but it didn't feel big in her world because she fell in love with my father, who is a Black man. My mom is a white girl from California. She came down here with only the clothes in her back, and she got disinherited from her family's legacy because she chose to be with him. Life has a way of getting stagnated. It has a way of taking its twists and turns. And so I talk a lot about my mom's story and how from the ages from 5 to 8, I found myself, I found my solitude, I found moments that I needed to have rest and reprieve. I learned how to go within because I didn't have a lot of clarity. It didn't have a lot of peace in the home. And so in the book, I share how we transition from the domestic violence abuse. I go deep into that conversation. I've been told that reading my book has like someone looking over my shoulder and seeing my life with me. And I invite people to take the ride. When they open up the book, they will look at the opportunity to heal. It's a mirror, a reflection of your own life. And so I don't say that lightly. When I was intentional, sitting with God, reading through some of the old poetry that I wrote, and found that there were several pieces to put in it. And then a lot of the book was me putting it together. And so I'll take you from my childhood to young adulthood until the end of where I'm at, a little bit about where I'm at right now with my husband and I fell in love, but I kind of leave it there. And I share my thoughts about life, all the colors. I share my thoughts about how I view the world and what ways that God has helped me. I talk a lot about healing and forgiveness in the book. We don't want to walk through life angry and upset and bitter. And those were moments, there are a lot of moments that I could have ended up bitter, y'all, or not soft. And I think that that has a way of getting into the crevices of our hearts. Um, thank you so much. Yes. So if you want to hop on, Dr. George, feel free to chime in if you want. I'm just talking to fill the time and the space. But we have a lot of metaphors in the book. I talk about my work through my foundation, which is Victoria's Victory Foundation. It's a sentiment testament of my mom's life, where we go, and I say some team members of mine, we go into work with women in shelters who have been abused. And there are a lot of families that I find that are homeless, and especially the children get the grunt end of all of that too. And so we get a chance to minister, we get a chance to share life and love and healing through the message of representing your greatness in the earth. It doesn't matter what happens to you guys. And one of my things that I talk about is life is not what happens to you, but happens through you. And we want to make sure that we stay resilient. And we want to make sure that we're able to help and shed light and love in the earth everywhere we go. And that we don't let the things that happen to us to harden us. And there are always ways for us to be able to love one another. And so there are times I get a chance to minister to the kids. Part of our vision is to raise awareness of the kids in the school districts. There's something called the McKinsey veto law. If you don't know what that is in the educational system, the kids are protected through the McKinsey veto law. They don't get denied any rights to go to school if they don't have an address or if they're homeless. And so part of Victoria's Victory, the vision of that is to make sure that we're able to align with organizations that already exist, and that we're able to take food and clothing and resources to them to help them. And one thing that we will be doing in the future is offering tents and seeing if we can rent out the gyms to use the unused space. Because a lot of times I remember as a kid growing up when I was homeless, and that's one of the things I talk about in there. I talk about illiteracy that I experienced. I didn't learn how to read and write very well until I was actually in college. I spent 15 years graduating from my first associate degree because it's very hard for me. And I share that in my book. And so part of the vision that I have is to align with the school districts and some of the people that make the decisions to be able to support the students in the school districts. And we want to buy tents, we want to buy food, and we want to be able to support the families so they don't feel like they have to go live in their cars, which is some of the things that I did and I experienced. And so I share all of those experiences in my book. In addition to that, Dr. B and I are working together, but I have a program that has derived from my book. It's called Unraveling Your Curls. And so we can talk about more about that another day. So it's a lot of pieces that everything that I have that has happened in my life, God has given me a way to give back, to turn my pain into purpose. And so everything that I have is a lived experience. It's a shared experience. It's been 25 years in the educational system thinking that I was going to go up to the top of the ladder. And I did. I became the regional director of operations for Fatal Leadership Academy. But then life has a way of coming and saying, hey, this is what you really need to be doing. And I had been thinking about speaking and authoring and doing my nonprofit work and consulting and coaching for a very long time. But I never made room for it because of all the things that I thought I needed to do. But when my husband got sick, it made me sit down and reflect a lot more. And when I started talking about all the possibilities in life, and I said, babe, when we get all these millions, right? This is what we're going to do. And the only thing he can think of is he wanted presents. He wanted healing. He wanted a shower. He wanted the simple things in life. And so when you're on your deathbed or you're on your situation where at the end of your life, all those things don't seem to matter so much. And so I had to get down to the heart of my life and to realize what it was that I actually came here for. And so I think I'm finally living my purpose. I don't have to discover that anymore. And I've been able to work through creating something meaningful. And so this is part of my message and part of my life story. And I appreciate everybody that came to see me today. I'm going to pause. If anyone wants to chime in, I'm opening up for questions and conversation. Thank you. Feel free to unmute yourself or ask a question or make a comment if you'd like. We got about another minute.
Oh, yeah, he is speaking. Okay.
All
I
right.
can come off mute here. Let's see. I did. Renee Jackson said, thank you for learning and sharing your purpose and gifts. And Dr. George said, what do you say, joining us at our weekly. What do you say? Thank you for sharing, Julia. Connect with me.
Awesome.
So we got about another 50 or 60 seconds left. I'm just so excited about your journey and where you get to go and making room for some of the wonderful things that you are now planning on making happen. And so, yeah.
You know, Dr. B, it's not always easy, right? And so I get to live the experience in the coaching that I do.
Mhm.
So it's not about faking until you make it, right? It's about the real needs to show up. And
Mhm.
what do you do? And so I'm not one of those coaches that are just going to sugarcoat anything. Like, where are you? What do you need to do? Where do you want to go? And then we find ways right where you are. You know, no one needs to put up a facade in life. And I think so many times, like Miss Renee Jackson was sharing earlier, we put on these masks or we wear these hats and we feel like we have to do what we've all this learned behavior, but that's not really when the real shows up. You know,